Welcome to AviatorDB News Briefing. Today is Sunday, August 23, 2026. Here are today's top stories. Boca Raton plane crash in water. FAA investigates Piper PA-30 ditching. IndiGo A321 tail strike grounds aircraft at Gorakhpur in 8th Fleet incident. Vietnam Airlines 787-9 suffers runway overrun, tire failures at Munich. Kodiak 100 seaplane sustains substantial damage in East River hard landing. Now for the details. The Federal Aviation Administration has opened an investigation following a Boca Raton plane crash in water that occurred the morning of Saturday, August 22, 2026. A Piper PA-30 twin-engine aircraft ditched in the Atlantic Ocean just off the coast of South Beach Park, near 250S Ocean Boulevard, according to reports from Boca Raton Fire Rescue and local authorities. The sole occupant, a 23-year-old woman, was rescued from the cabin by Boca Raton Ocean Rescue and transported to a local hospital for evaluation as a precaution. Officials reported no injuries. The aircraft had departed Page Field in Fort Myers, Fla, and was en route to South Bimini Airport in the Bahamas, the FAA confirmed to national news outlets. Preliminary reports indicate the pilot may have radioed an electrical problem before executing the emergency water landing. The incident drew significant attention from beachgoers and boaters, with widely circulated footage showing the fuselage bobbing in the surf for several hours. Boca Raton Police Marine Unit and U.S. Coast Guard personnel secured the scene while investigators documented the wreckage. Recovery crews successfully lifted the aircraft from the water more than 12 hours after the ditching. The FAA is expected to release a preliminary accident report as the investigation into the reported mechanical failure and pilot decision-making continues. An IndiGo A321 Neo was grounded at Mahayogi Gorakhnath Airport in Gorakhpur after maintenance crews discovered abrasion marks and scratches near the auxiliary power unit APU inlet on the lower aft fuselage following Flight 6E-2381 from Delhi on August 19, 2026. The crew executed a safety-motivated go-around on short final to runway 11 before completing a second approach and landing without further incident. All passengers and crew disembarked safely with no reported injuries. The aircraft, registered VTILR, remains grounded pending maintenance inspections and regulatory clearance. Industry sources indicate the Gorakhpur event represents at least the 8th tail strike or tail contact occurrence involving IndiGo's A321 fleet in recent years, a pattern that has drawn sustained scrutiny from India's Directorate General of Civil Aviation, DGCA. Similar events have previously been recorded at airports including Ahmedabad, Chennai, and Mumbai. A prior DGCA special audit cited systemic deficiencies in the carrier's operations and training, resulting in a 30 lakh fine and mandated revisions to approach profiles for the type. The A321's extended fuselage increases its susceptibility to tail contact during high-pitch maneuvers, particularly during the flare or a go-around phase. A factor aviation safety analysts say warrants heightened crew awareness on shorter runways. DGCA investigators are expected to review flight data monitoring, FDM records from VTILR, to determine whether the fuselage contact occurred during the initial go-around or the subsequent landing rollout. The outcome could inform broader operational guidance for IndiGo's A321 fleet. Authorities are investigating a serious incident involving a Vietnam Airlines Boeing 787-9 Dreamliner that suffered a runway overrun and tail strike during takeoff from Munich Airport on August 15, 2026. Flight VN34, bound for Hanoi, used nearly the entire length of runway 26L before rotating, with the aircraft traveling approximately 90 to 120 meters beyond the paved surface and damaging runway lighting, according to flight tracking data and aviation analysts. Following the excursion, the flight crew declared an emergency and entered a holding pattern for more than 2 hours to dump fuel before returning to Munich. On landing, the aircraft experienced multiple tire failures on the left main landing gear during touchdown on runway 26R and came to a stop near taxiway A6, triggering closure of the north runway for recovery operations. All 271 passengers and 16 crew members were uninjured. Vietnam Airlines characterized the event as a technical issue and said the flight crew followed all required procedures. The Civil Aviation Authority of Vietnam, CAAV, has opened a formal investigation focused on takeoff performance calculations, weight and balance data, and crew decision-making. Aviation analysts, including commentators from the Blancolirio channel, noted the late rotation was highly unusual for a 787-9 operating on a 4,000-meter runway, pointing to possible discrepancies in performance data or aircraft configuration. The aircraft sustained substantial structural damage to the aft fuselage and landing gear and remains grounded pending detailed airframe inspections. A Kodiak 100 amphibious seaplane, registration N726SH, sustained substantial damage following a hard-water landing in New York City's East River on July 5, 2026. The aircraft, operated under Part 135 air taxi rules, was carrying 6 passengers and 2 crew members when the incident occurred at approximately 12:01 p.m. local time. According to the National Transportation Safety Board and the Federal Aviation Administration, the aircraft struck choppy water near the NY Skyport Terminal at East 23rd Street and FDR Drive, bouncing twice before a wing strut snapped. The aircraft listed to the left, with the wingtip and fuselage partially submerged. The New York City Fire Department reported 2 individuals sustained minor injuries but declined medical treatment. All 8 people aboard were rescued. The NTSB has opened an investigation into the incident and intends to issue a final report. Operator Acadian said the flight crew responded in accordance with their training and is cooperating with federal investigators examining the cause of the structural failure. The aircraft was subsequently towed back to the dock for inspection. Investigators are reviewing environmental conditions, including wave and swell activity at the time of touchdown, alongside the aircraft's landing sequence to determine the exact cause of the strut failure. Hard water landings can impose significant structural stress on float-equipped aircraft, particularly when crews encounter unexpected surface conditions. That's all we have for today. You can get the latest aviation news at aviatordb.com.